Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was forwarded to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. The message reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My name is Name Hayden. I am a private banker who is based here in South Africa, Sandton to be precise. Originally, I do come from the Democratic Republic of Congo, in brackets DRC. I have always prided myself on my ability so as to navigate the world of finance, as difficult as it is handling the wealth of some of the richest individuals in South Africa. What brought me to South Africa? This was when I used to be a private banker for this other man who is very wealthy in our country. So then I applied to this other bank, and then I came here to South Africa. But what I am about to confess to you, it is something that most of the people are never going to believe, especially as the world continues to recover from the effects of the pandemic. It was early in March 2020, just before the first whispers of a lockdown began circulating on the news, and people were not even believing that this virus was going to come to Africa. We only believed that it was going to end there in the first world countries. That was when I received an invitation to an exclusive all-black party in Sandton. So we were told that when we were coming to this party, but I was not surprised because I had done this before. I don't know why, but this is like what the rich people like to do when they go to these all-black, all-white parties. They are always having these face masks. So I was told that I had to get myself a face mask, so I bought one. And the weird thing about that is that we were told that we had to buy this mask that the people ended up wearing, like almost everyone right now has worn that mask, that those ones that we were told that they were going to protect us. Those were the ones that we were told to bring all black. So I then bought my black suit, everything black, until even to my undergarments they had to be dark black in color, including the face mask, which was very important. So it was written on the invitation card. So I then went there, and these kind of events, to tell you the truth, they are not uncommon in my line of work, but this one, it felt really different. The guest list, it was like the who's of the country's wealthiest and the most influential people. Some of these individuals, like they were my clients, and others were people that I had only heard about in hushed conversations. Most of these people, they had that type of wealth which seemed to be almost mythical. The party was held at a very luxurious estate, the kind of a place that is hidden away from the public eyes. The walls, they were quite high. The security there, it was even tight than the security of the entire nation. It seemed as if I was getting into a fortress because of the security that was there. There was an extra layer of security on that night. So we went there, and when we went to that party, the moment that you walked into that estate, the grand doors, they were opened up, and everyone was dressed in the mandatory all-black attire, and I was struck by the opulence that was around me, that surrounded me. When we entered into the hall, the big hall, the room was filled with the elite, and they were all mingling and they were chatting, and you could see that everyone that was powerful was in that room. The power that made it clear that this was not an ordinary gathering. As the night went on, I noticed something that was too peculiar about the conversations that were taking place. The usual talk of investments, mergers, and acquisitions was all but absent. Instead, people were discussing specific businesses, unlike other parties that I had attended. Like, people will be just having random discussions, investing in properties, and then having discussions about having business mergers. That night it was different. Everyone was silent, whilst those businesses men, they were busy leading the conversations. about these specific businesses, in brackets, ones that were soon to see a significant rise in demand. They spoke about industries like pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, home entertainment, and this was very important. And later on, we got to find out that home entertainment, it was the one that benefited when people was locked up in their houses, because everyone was just looking for entertainment. So most of the people, they were being encouraged to invest in home entertainment and technology platforms that catered, not that these technology platforms that were to cater for remote work and schooling. And you can see that those were the businesses that were like booming during those times. There was an unmistakable sense of certainty in their voices, as if they knew what we did not know, as they are bankers, as if they knew something that the rest of the world did not even know. You can, as for me, as the private banker, I never even thought that this was where most of the people were going to get a lot of money from their investments, home entertainment and technology platforms that were going to cater for remote work and schooling. No, you could have never imagined. So one of the wealthiest men who was there, a client of mine, pulled me aside. He was a man who was always a man of few words, but when he spoke, everyone listened. He told me in no uncertain terms to shift his investments into these very industries, pharmaceuticals and medical supplies. When I asked him why, he just smiled at me and he said, "You will soon see enough." And this man, he had never been interested in industries like pharmaceuticals and medical supplies. No, never. He was never interested in that. But when I questioned him, it was as if he was quite sure that we were not going to lose this investment. And I was not sure what to make it of it at that time. The markets were stable and there was no signs of the storm that was about to hit, but his tone and the way that everyone else at the party seemed to be on the same page, it made me to feel very uneasy. Then it happened. The lockdown came just weeks later on. The world was thrown into chaos and the economies of the world took a nosedive, but the industries that had been whispered about at that party, they all boomed. The very businesses those wealthy individuals had quietly invested in became essential, and their profits, they skyrocketed, whilst others were struggling to stay afloat. When you were crying watching your bank balance as it was being depleted whilst you are staying at home not working. But some of my wealthy clients, their investments, they were skyrocketing. They made so much profit. There are companies that made so much profit during that time. I did as my client instructed, reallocating his assets just in time. His wealth, it was multiplied, and he was one of the few who seemed to thrive during the dark months. But I watched as the whole world was suffering. Millions lost their jobs and businesses were crumbling. I could not shake the feeling that what had happened at that party was more than just good foresight. I felt like it was a coordinated effort, as if these people had been tipped off about the pandemic long before the rest of us. They had like positioned themselves to profit off the misery of others, and it felt as if I had played a part in it. I am not naive. I know how the world works. Wealth begets wealth, and those that are at the top will always find a way to protect their interests. But this was different. This was exploiting a global crisis, and it did not sit right with me. I have tried to rationalize it, telling myself that I was doing a job, following my clients' instructions, but the truth is I can't shake the guilt. I think about the countless people who lost everything whilst we were making a huge profit. I wonder how many more knew what was coming and stayed silent, positioning themselves to come out on top while the world was burning. I have continued to work in the private bank sector, but with such heaviness in my heart. The pandemic revealed, as a Christian, the stark inequalities in our society. And what has scared me the most, when I saw my clients making so much profit, more than they had made before, it was what is written in the Bible, that the rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer. During the days of the lockdown, you could see that the rich were getting richer and the poor were getting poorer. And I was a witness to how those with power manipulated the situation to their advantage. I don't know if I'll ever find peace as a Christian with my role in it, but I just needed to get this off my chest. We are living in the world where the rich will keep on getting richer. It is going to get worse, and it is going to be at the expense of everyone else. I have seen it firsthand. I do not know what the future holds for humanity, but all that I can say is that I think that the future that awaits the human population, it is quite scary. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admins who received this confession. Just imagine. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. When we were suffering, others were making money because of the pandemic.